Hi, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to start writing some actual CSS to style some elements of our page. So let's start. So the first thing that we have to see is where do you write your CSS? Like in the last video, I had just spoken a line or two about there are three places to write the CSS. You would use ideally one of them, which we'll discuss which one of them is the most used one when we have discussed all three. So the first is inline. So what do I mean by inline? So here I have the CSS intro.html which I wrote in the last video. You can write it now, and if I open it up in the browser, this is what I have. I've removed the custom style that I added in the last one for demo, and now I just have the basic HTML page here. So let's first see what inline is. So inline is when you add a style to a tag within that tag itself as an attribute. So what do I mean by that? This is something that you saw in the last video, that you can go into the tag and the style attribute, and then you can just start writing your styles. You can write your property name, you can put a colon, you can put your property value, and that will give one style to the element. And then you can put a semicolon, and then you can do the same thing for the second style, and so on. And you can put any number of styles for your thing. So we'll just put our styles in here when we learn the three basic styles that we're going to see in this video. So this is the first place you can write your code. And just to show you how it's done, like in the last video, I can do color red. And if I refresh this page, I see H1 gets a color of red. Color is basically the text color of the element, of the text inside the element. So the text color changes to red, right? This is the first way you could do it. However, imagine having 100 styles for the single H1. I mean, you will not have 100 styles for H1, but imagine having like 100 styles for some other thing on your page. You need to style it a lot to make it look something that you want it to look like. So you'd obviously not put 100 styles inside one attribute, right? That's never a good thing to do, making two long lines, except this paragraph right here, of course, but we'll not be writing this large amount of lines when we are inside the backend section, right? Because most of this will be inside the database. So until then, it is not good to write large lines. So this is not something you would do. So let's first see the second thing, which is the style tag. So what we just used right now was the style attribute. What we can also use is the style tag. So the first thing, where do we use the style tag? In the head. Okay. So we'll just put a style tag here inside the head, and then we can write our styles here. So if we use the custom format, I can do P to select the paragraph. Remember, there are two things whenever you're styling a page. The first is to select the element. In case of the style attribute, we were selecting the element by simply going to the element and then writing the style inside of it as an attribute. However, in this and the third way, we would select the element like this. We would put two curly braces, and then we would put all the styles that we want to apply to the element inside this curly braces. So I'll just write color red, or let's you put a colon and you put yellow, right? And then you do this semicolon right here. Now if you refresh, we see that this turns yellow. It does not look good, but it does turn yellow. So it means that our style tag is working pretty fine. But doing this violates another property, which is another good convention basically, which is that you should not have extremely long codes in a single file. Now you will have extremely long codes in a single file until we reach the backend, but this is not something you would do once you're making professional sites, right? Imagine having 100 or 200 lines of styles in a single HTML document, and then like 200 more lines of code in the HTML. So that's not something that will really be good practice. And most of the things that are not good practice are because of the fact that doing them would make it difficult for you to understand your code later or to actually debug your code. So this is again not something you would do. So what you would do in a professional scenario is, what we're going to see is the third method, a separate file for CSS. So what do I mean by that? And the link tags. So you must remember that I told you that we will study the link and the script tags in the CSS section. So now's the time we're going to learn them. Script is actually quite similar to link, but it's just used for JavaScript instead of CSS for linking the files. And okay, we'll study about script when we get to JavaScript too, but you'll see its use right now, right? So I'll get to a separate file, and then I'll save the file first as intro css.css. Now I took the same name for HTML and CSS, but that is not at all necessary. It does not matter whatever you name this file, right? I'm just taking the same name because it's more understandable. To me personally, you could take any name, it's not a problem. And if I press save, so now I have my CSS file present right here. And if I want to apply a style to, let's say, this A tag, I do an A, color, green. And now I can see this works. And you can also see the CSS comments. And I'll just write the same thing that I did in the previous one, which is property value. So value will go here. This is the property name. Now these are not HTML tags, what I'm doing right here. This is just something that I'm writing to demonstrate that the actual value for the property value will be substituted here. So this is the format that you'll use for writing your CSS documents. You will have a property name and then you'll get a property value. And you must have noticed that this went green, and that is because I've used CSS comments. And for CSS comments, this is what you will do. You will have a /, you will have this asterisk, you'll have another asterisk, and then another /. So this is what you'll have in a CSS document. So now the problem is, if I refresh this right now, I do not get this green color on this A tag. And why is that? Because this HTML document does not know that it has to take its styles from another CSS document named intro css.css. So how do we do that? How do we tell the document that you have to take styles from this particular CSS document? That you can do through the link tag. So you'll do link, and then if you press enter, you see we get this rel equal to style sheet and href is equal to some blank, right? So rel equal to style sheet is basically telling us that okay, we're referencing to a style sheet here with the link tag. And now inside the href, just like the A tag, you'll give the path to the CSS file. And here I can do simply intro css.css. And if I refresh this, I see it turns green. So that's exactly what I wanted. And now I've linked a CSS file with an HTML file. And this is the type of property, and this is the type of way you would use in a professional scenario. You would make a separate CSS file for a separate HTML document. I mean, you would make a CSS file separately and a HTML file separately, and then you would link them using a simple link tag. And you can put whatever inside this href. You could also have a link for online. Mostly that is in libraries. You will see what libraries are when we get to Bootstrap. But for now, you'll just have the name of your file. Or if this intro.css was inside some folder named style sheets, what we'll eventually do when we get a really complex structure in the project that we'll make, the industry level project. So you could have something like this. Just like the A tag, you need to provide the proper path to the style sheet in your href if it's not already in the same folder as the current HTML document. And so now we see we get this color equal to green, and that's exactly what we wanted. So now let's move to the next thing. which is some basic properties. So the first is color. I'm pretty sure you've understood what color is right now, until now, because we've used this for all our examples. So color is basically the color of the text inside that particular tag. By doing a color green, we turn the color of the text inside this a tag to be green. That's all color is, right? Next we have the background. So background is quite evident by its own name. What background would do. You could have background, and I'll just do blue. And if I go here and I refresh, I see I got a blue background to this, right? So this is what background is. This is all that background is. Now you could have a lot of separate tags for background. You could have background color for specifying that okay, a background is a solid color and not some different image, right? We'll see how you can put images, and all these different properties of background will be used as we progress further, because we'll do some really good styles in the coding exercises in this section, and hence we'll see the use of different properties of the background too. So that's all you need to know about the background for now. And the next is the border. For the border, you can do this, and then you write three things inside the border, right? 2 pixel, solid, and then the color. Solid is also variable. You will have dotted or dashed. I'll show you what they are in just a moment. But now you can write solid and then you write color. So if I'll not make this blue, else you will not be able to see. Let's just make this black, right? And if I refresh this page right now, you see I get a black border right here. So let me just explain what's happening here. So the first thing is 2px. Px basically stands for pixels, right? And pixels is the absolute unit that you would use to measure anything in web development, right? You would use 2 pixels. 2 pixels means, like, we have some measuring units in the real life like centimeter, meter, and all those things. Now obviously you won't have a 2 centimeter long border here, right? That's evident. So you could have something like 2 pixels, and that is always what you'll have. You could do 20 pixels and you refresh and you see this border becomes really big. So this is the size of the border, right? Then you could have solid. What solid means is there are 3 types of borders. The first is solid, what you see right now. I'll make it dashed and then you'll immediately get what I'm talking about. You see that I get this dashed border. I get 1 dash, 2nd dash, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So basically I get a dashed border, and if I do a dotted, I get dots in the border. So that's all this is. This is just the style of the border that you're putting in. And black, I think it's quite evident. It's the color of the border. If I make it red and I refresh, I see it turns red. So that's all for the border for now. Now these 3 are the properties, especially background and border, that could have a lot of variations, especially background. And border, you could have border box and other things that will come later. But especially background can have a lot of things that you would have to set, especially when you're having an image. You would have to set if the image has to be repeated in the background or not, or if the image has to fill the whole page or it has to fill a specific area, all those things. But we'll get to them as we need to, right? It's not really helpful if I introduce all of these things at once right now and you don't know why we will use them. We'll do a need-based thing for those. As soon as we need them, I'll teach you what you have to do something like that. So in this video, we've now studied 3 places you can write your CSS. The first is inline, which is by the help of the style attribute. Next is using the style tag inside the head. And the next is using a separate file, which is bolded because it is the best method to do your CSS eventually when you're writing something for some professional code or something. And then you have to link the file to your HTML document using the link tag, where you give a path to your CSS file inside the href attribute of the link tag. Next, we study some basic properties of CSS, which included color, which is the text color of the text inside the element, the background, which is the color or the image or anything in the background. The next is border, which is the border to any element you can give. So that's it for this video. We'll study some more properties in the next one. So I'll see you then. Bye.